Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Insight into the Digestive System, Functions, and Therapeutics. Before we get started, I would like to go over a few things just so you know how to participate in the event today. You have joined the presentation listening using your computer speaker system by default. You'll have the opportunity to submit text questions to today's presenters by typing your questions into the questions pane of the control panel. You may send in your questions at any time during the presentation. We will collect these and address them during the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. We will also try to address as many questions as possible in real time. Today's webinar is being recorded, and you will receive a follow-up email within 24 to 48 hours with a link to watch the recording. I would now like to introduce today's presenter, Colleen Bingham. Colleen?
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Devin, for the great intro. Good to see everyone again. Thank you for joining us. If you're new, welcome. And if you've been with us for the last two webinars, this is the third webinar in our series on discovering the different body systems and the ways that we can support them through our herbal supplements, and also just talking about detoxification and supporting the body in that eliminatory process. So welcome all. If this is your first time with us, this is our third webinar, as I just mentioned, and we do have recordings of the two previous webinars. The lymphatic system and the urinary system were covered in previous months, and you can access these webinars as well as their associated blogs by heading to our website, going to the Learn tab, and then the Resources tab, and clicking on Body System Webinars. And Jen is going to do me the honor of adding that link to the chat window right now, so you can grab that link. And if you have attended our previous body system webinars, this is just a quick update. As you can see, the name of the course has slightly altered a little bit. It's now Functions and Therapeutics, whereas before it was Functions and Protocols. We are actually separating out our protocols, the Dr. Morse protocols, and pairing our formulas and doing an entire second webinar next week for 30 minutes, next Wednesday, same time. And so if you have yet to register for that webinar, please do so now. We are also going to be adding the link to register for that webinar right now to the chat window. So take a look at those two links. You can click them right now to open them. Don't necessarily have to register right now, but just remember that we will be talking less about pairing the formulas today and just doing a total deep dive into that next week, and Jen's going to be helping me with that. So who am I? My name is Colleen Bingham, and I will be your guide today. I am a certified herbalist, and I have been walking this plant path as a passion and a career for the past 13 years. I am senior copywriter and herbal educator here at Dr. Morse, and I'm an alumni of Dr. Morse's International School of Healing Arts. And I also teach live classes here in Sonoma County, California, at a herb school called California School of Herbal Studies. And I'm here today with Jen B and Sarah, who you probably know if you've been with this community for a while. They've been the support team here at Dr. Morse for over 10 years. Jen B is our brand manager, and Sarah is customer support supervisor. And then there's all of you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have alumni here attending who have taken Dr. Morse's courses. We have our retail partners here. We have customers, and we have people who are brand new to the community. And we are so glad to have everyone in one place. We really enjoy bringing everyone together for these webinars and just kind of getting the conversation going around how we can help to support ourselves. And who is it? Why did we all come together today? We're here because of this man, Dr. Robert Morse, whose life's work is to unlock the body's natural ability to heal by supporting its regenerative detoxification processes. For over 45 years, Dr. Morse has been educating humanity on how to remove obstructions in the physical and energetic channels connecting body, mind, and spirit through proper diet and the support of his transformative herbal supplement formulas. So this goes far beyond supplements, right? This is all about lifestyle. This is who we are and how we present ourselves to the world and how we take care of ourselves with the foods that we eat and the lifestyle that we live. Dr. Morse has been trying to bring this education to the world. It's really incredible. He's built an incredible community of people all over the world that believe in his path of detoxification to enlightenment, essentially. He has taught over thousands of healers at the International School of Healing Arts. And if you want to do the deep dive into learning directly from Dr. Morse, I suggest you check out the International School of Healing Arts website. He also he has thousands of hours of recordings on his YouTube channel. The handle is Robert Morse ND. So you can also check out his YouTube channel for more information. Many of you are probably very familiar with a lot of those recordings. So yeah, just healing goes beyond the physical, right? It's not just about our body. I mean, that's where it starts, and we use these supplements to support the movement of obstructions, to help clear channels, and to help pull acid from deep inside the interstitial space. But we also, it's also lifestyle, diet, and philosophies that can be potentially toxic to our health and well-being on both a physical and a spiritual level. And so Dr. Morse is here to ask everyone to try to become the master of their own journey. And detoxification can be the way to waking up the God consciousness. So thank you, Dr. Morse, for the work that you do. And thank you all who have joined us here today to support that work and, show up in this way. It's really important that we do this work, and it feels really good. So, all right, we did talk about the question and answers already with Devin. So you do have access to a Q&A window where you can type in your questions. I will not be answering any questions myself because we have a lot of information to get through in the next hour, and I want to make sure we cover all the slides. But Jen and Sarah will be fielding as many of your questions as they can. And so definitely type your questions in and we will try to get to them. And some of them will be flagged. So if you don't hear your question being answered, it might be getting saved for the end. And also, if it doesn't get answered, you can always contact us directly through email to potentially ask those questions. And yes, we have a full house today. Lots of people here, lots of great questions. So please ask away. We love supporting you. And then we also have to say, please stick around until the end. We have some incentive for you to stay through the entire presentation, because at the very end, we will be giving a discount code, whether you are alumni, a wholesale partner, or a customer on the website. You will be getting a unique discount code that's going to last for the next 48 hours. That is actually the longest list of products that we've ever given away at discount prices in any of this webinar series so far. So it's really exciting. Definitely stick around until the end for that. And we also are recording, and we will be emailing you the recording of this webinar within the next 24 hours. So check your inboxes for that tomorrow. Okay, lovely. So that handles all of the housekeeping, and now we can talk about our agenda for today. So breaking it up into 3 sections, we're going to start with digestive system anatomy and physiology, and just kind of breaking down the system into its parts. And then we will jump into the herbs for supporting digestive health and do a virtual herb walk. And then we'll finish with some additional therapeutics that you can do, lifestyle, and just little tricks that you can do to support yourself every day as you're eating and ingesting food to support healthy digestion. Okay. So I always like to stop and take a moment to appreciate what we're all doing here, take a deep breath. So before we dive into the really heady anatomy and physiology, just wanted to kind of have everyone get centered with me for a moment. So if you could all close your eyes and start taking some deep breaths in, really center yourself on your sits bones and feel yourself grounded on the earth. Digestion is a downward motion, so I ask you to kind of grab and collect star energy from up above your head, reach out into the cosmos and pull that star energy down and let it enter in through your mouth. And just imagine this blue light that's traveling through the mouth, down the esophagus, into the stomach, wiggling its way through the small intestines as you breathe this light down further and further into the large intestines, and eventually all the way down and into the ground. And then you can keep connecting that energetic cord all the way down through the earth to the core of the earth. And just feel this pulsing light energy that's moving through your body from up above, collecting star energy, down below, collecting earth energy, and just pulling that all into your heart center and into your gut, and just letting it energize you and bring awareness to this part of your body. Just breathe with that for a moment. And then you can pull up those energetic cords and wrap them back into your body. And Either keep your eyes closed to listen to this next part or open them up again. And so, Dr. Morse pulls from traditions, just as I do with herbalism, the traditions of indigenous peoples of this nation, the traditions of traditional Chinese medicine, and the eclectic herbalists that came before us. And so I just wanted to draw some awareness to this theme, that the digestive system on kind of a bigger scale, like what it means. And so today is the solstice in the Northern Hemisphere, if that's where you're visiting us from. Happy solstice. Today is June 21st, the longest day of the year. I'm looking outside at the beautiful sunlight. I can't wait to go bathe in it. And what does that look like? In traditional Chinese medicine, there's always a body system or organ that is assigned to each of the different seasons of the year. And herbalism is always related to the seasons, right? Because as the plants change and the earth moves and the sun shifts in the sky, our bodies are always just a mirror of that. Okay, so with traditional Chinese medicine, summer is the time of the fire element and the small intestine and the heart. And so with the small intestine, I think that's really perfectly aligned to our discussion on digestive health, because the small intestine is where we assimilate nutrients. And this is a time of year where, we've taken spring and we've planted our ideas, we've planted our intentions, we've put them in the soil, and we've put them, somewhere safe. And now we want to hopefully have those ideas grow and flourish. And so summertime is a time to tend to the things that we've planted by giving them plenty of water and nutrients and light, sunlight. Okay, so whether we're talking about your actual garden outside or the garden of your body or the garden of your intentions, we are here right now in summertime to tend that field. And so in order to assimilate those nutrients properly through the small intestines need to be clear. They need to have the ability to absorb without any obstructions. The mucosal layer of these small intestines needs to be just the right amount of mucosa to not, block any nutrients from being absorbed or be too dry and allow extra things to permeate through the small intestines. So that's that small intestine piece. And then as we absorb those nutrients into the bloodstream, they end up into the heart, which is the other organ of summer. And so the heart then collects the blood that's full of nutrients and sends it to the body, right? So it's a beautiful orchestrated dance. And then fire is the element of the season. And I really think that very well relates to the digestive system. Granted, I don't want you to associate fire with acid, because we obviously are always trying to bring our body out of acidosis. But fire does need to exist within the stomach, right? That's where we break down all of our food. That's where we have a pH of 1. Things can get really hot in there. And so we are talking today about stimulating that digestive fire. And a great time to do that, to help break down our food into its component parts, is summertime. Okay, so whether we're talking about your ideas coming to fruition or your physical body, make sure to give yourself plenty of nutrients, water, and sunlight. And rest. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into this heady digestive system anatomy and physiology. And here we have the movement through the digestive tract. Starts in the mouth, into the stomach, small intestines, and large intestines. So I also added the brain here. I think it's really important to remember that the digestive system and the nervous system are incredibly intertwined. So imagine for a moment that you're holding a lemon in your hand. So just look at that lemon and think about taking a bite out of that lemon. What are you noticing changing physiologically? You've probably started to experience some saliva building up in your mouth, right? So even before you eat your food, even before you put it into your mouth, your brain is already sending signals to your entire digestive tract that food is coming and it's time to prepare the body for it. So we're already starting to salivate. And I have to swallow to move that saliva down. And yeah, so also smell does the same thing. So we have all these sensorial processes that are happening even before food enters the digestive tract. But after it does enter the digestive tract, you go mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, colon. And then we also have these kind of internal organ loops. The small intestine then sends nutrients to the liver and gallbladder to be processed. And then the pancreas is also excreting digestive enzymes into the small intestine. So these are all of the different organ systems that are involved in digestion, and we'll look at them all a little bit more closely in a moment. But just for now, the digestive system is so fun to talk about, because the way I like to presented to folks is that we're essentially a donut hole, right? The entire digestive tract is made out of skin cells, epithelial cells, just like the outside of us. So what's outside is inside. And I don't really think of it as an internal organ. It's actually a interface between the external world and what we can pull from that external world to give us energy, and then what we have to remove and excrete as waste, right? So it's just a processing tube. So everything enters through the mouth and exits through the anus, and really it's just kind of being, looked at and analyzed and absorbed as needed throughout. So yeah, one big donut hole. And so the skin and mucous membranes are really kind of key players here in the construction of the digestive tract. And then here are the different processes for how we digest our food. So it starts with ingestion, which is food entering the mouth. Motility takes the food through the digestive tract. Chemical digestion is all of the enzymes, acids, and electrolytes that break down our food. Mechanical digestion is peristalsis and also the churning of the stomach to help break down the food. And so that's all the parasympathetic nervous system. Again, here we have that tie-in with the nervous system. And then absorption of nutrients, of course, and elimination. Okay, so we pretty much already covered this, but digestion does start in the mouth, or maybe even before, right? And it's important to keep food in your mouth long enough that those enzymes in the mouth, that your saliva can start to break down your food before you swallow. And we'll talk more about that soon with therapeutics. Then food enters the stomach after passing through the esophagus. And here it is mixed with stomach acid to produce what is called chyme. And stomach's muscular contractions further break down the food. From there, you do have this really kind of intricate process happening right after food leaves the small intestine, right after food leaves the stomach. It goes into the first section of the small intestine, which is called the duodenum. And in there, the liver is producing bile, which is stored by the gallbladder, and the gallbladder will secrete this bile into the duodenum to help further break down our food. It's specific to absorbing fats. And then you have, so that's the liver and gallbladder. And then you also have the pancreas over here. It's actually more behind the stomach, and the liver is in front of the stomach. So this is kind of an interesting diagram in that it kind of opens the whole thing up, but these things are all layered, one in front of the other. It goes liver, stomach, pancreas. So the pancreas is doing two things. It's both an endocrine gland in that it produces chemical hormones to regulate blood sugar, and it's also an exocrine gland as it produces enzymes to help digest food. Okay, just kind of moving through this quickly, but here we have the small intestine. If you're at all interested, it does have three sections: the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. And really the duodenum is the big zone where you've got the gallbladder secreting bile and breaking down food further. And then really through the whole small intestine, you have all of your nutrients being absorbed into the bloodstream. Okay, and then really the large intestines start right here at the base of your lower right abdomen, and you have an ascending colon, you have a transverse colon, and a descending colon. Then you have a sigmoid colon, rectum, and anus. So that is really how you break it all down. Each of these slides does, include what's happening in each place. So we will be giving you the recording. You can always revisit these slides if you want to really get your anatomy and physiology honed. But really what we want to do here is pull it all together, right? We're talking about detoxification. That's what our primary focus here at Dr. Morse. And we have this organ that is the liver that is doing a ton of processing of toxins. And it's a really incredible loop that it does actually. So let's see, the digestive system is both an eliminatory pathway and a filter thanks to the liver. So there's hepatocytes in the liver that convert waste products into more soluble forms that can be easily eliminated from the body. And it's a really beautifully designed system. It's just like, give thanks to our very intelligent bodies for creating this whole, it's actually a recycling center as well. So you have the food that's absorbed, or you have the chyme that comes into the duodenum, and then here into the small intestine, you have it absorbed into the bloodstream. And then from the bloodstream, it goes into the liver, and the liver is separating out waste product from nutrients. It's holding some nutrients, it's sending nutrients out through the bloodstream to the heart, and it's also keeping waste separate and making that waste into bile. And then the bile is stored here in the gallbladder. And I believe in the next slides we go into bile. Yeah, so what's really amazing about this system is that after this waste is turned into bile and then used to further break down fats in the small intestine, that bile is actually recycled. And so most bile is reabsorbed in the lower part of the small intestine and recycled back to the liver. So a pretty incredible system there. And then water-soluble waste products are then filtered out by the hepatocytes in the liver, along with excess water and electrolytes. And those waste products, including the metabolic byproducts of certain drugs, are transported to the kidneys, where they're then filtered and processed. So it is kind of a roundabout way because, you know, the blood takes on all that waste in the form of bile. It actually has to get brought to the heart first to be reoxygenated, then it heads down to the kidneys. So somehow our intelligent body is also having to figure out what is waste and what isn't. And the kidneys are doing a lot of that work. So we are always talking about how we don't have isolated systems in our body. And we have this incredible detoxification organ, the liver and the gallbladder, and all this stuff is happening, but we still need healthy kidneys to support this system because we still have all of this eliminatory waste going to the kidneys to be removed. Some of it, of course, is just going to move through the digestive tract and be eliminated as stool, but then plenty of it is also going to go through the bloodstream to the kidneys where it will be eliminated as urine. So very important, highly interconnected systems here, which is why when we talk protocols next week, we are talking about how we not only support our digestive system, but we also have to support other eliminatory systems like the liver and the urinary tract. Okay, lovely. So now we are going to talk about what this looks like. How do we support this system, this detoxification organ, with herbs? And first thing I wanted to show you, as you maybe noticed, I didn't even mention this yet on this presentation, but you know, we've got this new logo coming out. We have kind of some new branding. Dr. Morse has taken it to a new level here. And so here's some beautiful packaging to share with you. And this is also the primary products or primary formulas that Dr. Morse has created to support digestive health. So here you have GI Renew series, GI Renew Loose, Daily, Gentle Mover, Moderate Mover, and Super Mover. And actually these used to be, I'm sure many of you are like, wait, these used to be something different. Yes, GI Loose, GI 1 or GI 0, GI 1, GI 2, GI 3, and GI 5. Okay. GI 4 is actually being, GI Renew 4 is actually being discontinued. So it's a super sale right now on the website if you're interested. It's at like 30% off. Okay, and then we have liver skin. We'll talk more about that channel later and coming up here. And then we also have our pancreas support, which we just discussed how important that organ is to breaking down our foods. Then you have Parasite General, which used to be Parasite G, and Parasite Micro, which used to be Parasite M, and Stomach T. So those are the mainstays for digestive supports. But of course, we're going to be talking about so much more than that because, as I mentioned earlier, the nervous system plays a huge role in digestive health. You've got the adrenals, you've got the kidneys, you've got the lymph. So it's all interconnected, and we do a lot of pairings and protocols here to help kind of guide and recommend how to support you wherever you're at with your health. Again, a great reason to attend next week's webinar. Okay, so now we're going to do our virtual herb walk, probably virtually my most favorite part of these presentations because I'm an herbalist and I love plants. So we're really going to break down the GI Renew formulas first. So these are the primary actions that Dr. Morse included in these formulas: bitters, demulcents, laxatives, and muscular relaxants. So we'll see what those are and why they're so important for digestive health right now. But before we go into our herb walk, I just really wanted to take a moment to discuss bitters. We are bitter deficient in the standard American diet. Even if you are a very healthy individual, you might still be adverse to eating bitter foods. It's just something that's not ingrained in. I'm speaking as a a person living in the United States of America. There's, of course, people attending this webinar from all over the world. And kudos to those of you that are living in countries where bitters are still a primary part of every meal. There's many cultures out there that are eating, shaved fennel or some sort of aperitif salad, or in some way to stimulate those bitter receptors on the tongue before eating your primary meal. And why do we want to do that? Why are bitters so important? So we have this bitter receptor on our tongue. It's at the very back of the tongue. You only have to taste a little bit of bitter to activate those receptors. And those receptors, guess what they speak to? The nervous system. And the nervous system sends the signal to the entire digestive tract to start producing all of these digestive processes, right? The mechanical and the chemical breakdown of food. One way I like to think about this is that we live in a world where we've been, living in harmony with plants for centuries, and we've been eating and trying out different herbs. And there's plenty of plants, especially the plants where we're eating the aerial parts, not so much fruits, but with vegetables, we're killing the plant to eat it. So all plants produce this toxin, they produce this bitter flavor as a way to protect themselves. And most bitters are safe to ingest, and they don't really do much to the digestive tract, but many of our most poisonous plants on the planet are highly, highly bitter in flavor. So what we have trained ourselves to do, what our body has trained us to do through evolution, is to taste that bitter flavor. And just in case it potentially is a poisonous plant, we're coating the entire digestive tract with mucosa. We are sending it through with peristalsis, with the movement of the muscle movement that's sending it through the body. We are increasing hydrochloric acid in the stomach. Just in case this is a toxic substance, we want to get it out of the body as fast as possible. So if you do have like fast moving stools, if you do experience some sort of symptoms of diarrhea, bitters might not be the answer for you, because you're already moving things through the body really quickly. And as you can see, bitter cautions here. Pregnancy is caution because with pregnancy and bitters basically as a taste have a downward action, right? Because they're stimulating the downward action of digestion. And so pregnancy is contraindicated just because that sometimes can stimulate the uterus. Of course, all of these contraindications are just something that you can speak with your healthcare practitioner about, but just something to keep in mind that not every single person in the world is a candidate for taking bitters. But generally, what we teach as herbalists is that 15 minutes before a meal, it's good to taste something bitter. And that helps to stimulate digestion throughout the entire tract, so that when you start eating your food, you have everything you need to process that food as efficiently as possible. So that's my rant on bitters. They're very fascinating. And we have a couple of formulas that we're going to learn about right now that all contain this bitter flavor. Okay, so gentian. Figured I'd start with a bitter herb, right? Gentian is super duper bitter. It is probably one of the most bitter herbs that is safe to ingest that's out there. And it's because it's so well known for its bitter content. In fact, if you see here on this slide, 1 to 50,000, if you were to dilute it by 50,000 times, it would still taste bitter. And this bitter constituent, this bitter phytochemical, is called amarogentian, where the word amaro comes from, which happens to be one of our bitter aperitifs. Granted, we don't promote the drinking of alcohol here. It's a toxic substance. But if you do partake, that is one option for ingesting your bitters as an aperitif before your meal or after your meal. And there's just all these different aperitifs here that all contain gentian as their primary ingredient. So it's a really incredible root. I love this photo because this is exactly how you're going to see it growing in the wild. It likes the high subalpine meadows and is native to mountainous meadows of Central and Southern Europe and Asia Minor. And there's definitely plenty that I have seen just along the California Sierra Mountains. It's a beautiful plant, and you would be harvesting it for its root. But it's also, just make sure it's in abundance if you are planning on going out and harvesting this. So yeah, so basically everything we just talked about, like why bitters are so incredible for digestion, is because they increase the production of HCl, bile, mucus, and the stimulation of peristalsis, making bitters, herbs like gentian, wonderful for supporting healthy digestion. And Dr. Morse included it in GI Renew 1, which is now GI Renew Daily, pancreas support, liver, skin, and stomach tea. So if you were to take any of those formulas 15 minutes before you eat, you will taste that bitter flavor and you will get the response you need from the digestive tract. Okay. All right, so totally taking a 180 here, away from bitters. This is a totally not bitter herb. If you were to talk about it if you were to assign a taste just to slippery elm bark, you would be assigning it a sweet taste. Of all of our herbs, it's considered a sweet herb, like licorice or marshmallow root. So This is a elm, right? And it's the inner bark that we use for the formulas that are made. And it is high in polysaccharides, starches, tannins, and mucilaginous. And if you have read anything I've written about mucilaginous herbs or have attended the lymphatic or urinary system webinar, you know how much I love my mucolytic polysaccharides, right? They're these incredible little molecules that collect water and kind of turn water into slime. They make water slippery and thicken water. And what they're doing as they're running through your digestive tract is they're actually supporting the lining of the digestive tract, right? That healthy mucosal lining of the digestive tract. Slippery elm can be both demulcent, which means that it's highly hydrating to the tissues, like emollient-C topically, but it can also be drying. It's all about how much water you take it with. So you can kind of play around with slippery elm a little bit. If you drink a lot of water with your slippery elm, it's going to thicken that water and it's going to help coat the mucosa throughout the digestive tract. And if you don't use any water with it, if you were to take a capsule of slippery elm, it's going to pull water from wherever it can find water. So it's going to start pulling water from the digestive tract. So you could potentially use a slippery elm product to support diarrhea just because it's going to be helping to pull water away from that and thicken it up a little bit. So that is a herb that you will find in GI Renew 1 through 5. That's why I really wanted to talk about it today, because Dr. Morse loves slippery elm. It's in many of his formulas, but specific to digestive health, it's in GI Renew 1 through 5, GI Broom, and Stomach Tea. Okay, Cascara spirata. So an incredible herb, so important. And this is one that you actually harvest and age for a year before you would use it. It does, I live on the Pacific coast, so you can actually find it growing near me, and then up into British Columbia. And it is a very strong laxative. So it's so strong that it should really start working right away to support the movement of constipation, right? So this might, yeah. So I just want to mention that Cascara sagrada is a powerful herb that doesn't need to be taken long term. It's one of those things where you should be able to notice how well it is helping to move stools out of the body within the first 6 to 12 hours of taking a formula that contains Cascara sagrada. So we always talk about with our GI Renew formulas how when you are needing that movement, needing that strong laxative power, you start with GI Renew 5 and then you start to taper off. And eventually you want to always get back to GI Renew Daily or GI Renew 1, because that's the one that doesn't contain Cascara sagrada. It just has some really nice herbs for supporting the digestive process, like gentian. And that way you are, you're finding your way through diet and through these gentle daily supplements to get back to regular bowel movements, okay? But it is really important to have this herb, and it's really critical for a lot of people who are experiencing those types of discomforts. And Cape aloe, in that same family, it's another strong laxative, and kind of the same story that Cape aloe, according to SCOP, Cape aloe should not be used for periods more than 2 weeks at a time without medical supervision. So what's really cool about Cape aloe, and we use it as this 200x extract, so it's very potent, is that it doesn't actually activate until it gets into the colon. The area of the colon and rectum is when it's actually the intestinal flora that activates the laxative properties of Cape aloe. So that's pretty fascinating. And wild yam, this is the last of our primary herbs in our GI formulas, and wild yam is listed here specifically because it's traditionally used to promote the relaxation of smooth muscle throughout the body. So it has a specific affinity for the liver, gallbladder, the bowels, and the uterus. So you'll also see this supportive herb in a lot of formulas for supporting uterine discomforts as well. But it's just, the Dioscorea family, or excuse me, the Dioscorea genus right here is a huge genus. It's got 600 plus species of yams growing all over the world, and it's a food and it's an herbal remedy. So it's definitely something that's well known and very traditionally used throughout the world. But that's the specific reason that we like to have it in some of our formulas to support any discomforts that might come up with digestion. So you'll see it in GI Renew Daily, which is 1, gentle and moderate mover, stomach tea, and adrenal support. Okay, moving into our secondary herbs here, hepatoprotectives, prebiotics, alteratives, and bulking agents. So we're kind of moving beyond GI Renew and talking about some of these peripheral organ systems, body systems that are also needing support. This first one, milk thistle, that's specific to the liver. It's an incredible liver support herb. This is a digestive system tonic. It's a liver tonic. There's two herbal actions that are good to know when you're speaking about this herb. Hepatoprotective and hepatotropho-restorative, okay? They're both listed right here on the monograph if you're curious about spelling. So hepato, the hepatic organ, is the liver. Hepatotropho-restorative basically is as it sounds, a restorative. It's helping to restore that system back to its the optimal function. And then hepatoprotective is a herb that's supporting, just protecting that organ over time. So yeah, milk thistle is a great one to just kind of take daily to support the strength and protection and rebuilding of the liver. And it's in our liver skin formula. Okay, Oregon grapefruit, also in liver skin. I think the liver skin formula is really awesome. So if you haven't tried it yet, I would definitely recommend checking it out. It's got all these bitter herbs in it. It's got the liver hepato restorative milk thistle in it. And, you know, we talk about it as this liver skin formula because there is this channel of elimination from the liver to the skin where it seems what we're finding is that if there's a taxed liver, sometimes you'll see some imbalances of that manifest on the skin, and that's giving you some information there that's telling you, oh, maybe I need to give my liver some love. Maybe I need a little support from the liver skin formula, right? So that's a eliminatory channel, and of course the liver itself is an eliminatory organ. So Oregon grapefruit, why is that in this formula? Oregon grapefruit is also known as Indian barberry, and it contains berberine. So this is kind of a big deal because there's not a ton of plants out there that are in abundance that contain berberine. And can you guess which other one does? I can't obviously hear your answers, but golden seal is the other just super well-known herb that contains berberine. And golden seal, if you're familiar with it, it's kind of one of those gateway herbs that everyone learns about early on. And it's just it's really good at doing what it does, which is specific to the removal of unwanted organisms and toxins from the digestive tract. So this is a good one to take traveling. It's really good to just kind of protect you against any kind of, if you're ingesting new waters, if you're being exposed to any foreign organisms that your body might not be familiar with, this is going to help kind of keep everything at bay, support the immune system, if you know what I mean. So Oregon grapefruit is incredible at that. And yellow dock is really specific to GI health. Again, a great traveler's companion because in small doses, the tannic astringency helps to support healthy inflammatory levels in the intestines, and it also can help firm up loose stool. And then in high doses, it can actually be a mild laxative. So, you know, when you're traveling and things can kind of get out of whack, yellow dock is a really good one for that. It's called yellow dock, and berberine, which we talked about in the last slide, is a highly yellow constituent or phytochemical. When you make an extract of Oregon grape, it's very, very yellow. Unfortunately, there is no berberine in yellow dock, but it does have the same name. And so not to be confused with an herb that does contain berberine, it's still an incredible GI alternative. There's a whole article that I wrote for our website that's all about alternatives. So if you're interested in looking up that word and what it means, it's basically helping to strengthen and deliver nutrients to the eliminatory systems of the body, which the digestive tract is a pretty big one. So yellow dock is in our liver skin formula and our blood support formula because yellow dock is very high in iron. Okay, black walnut. So this is a big one. Dr. Morse has this in a lot of his formulas. So it's in all the Heal All blends, and it's also in Parasite Micro, Parasite General. And so why is it in those formulas? It's just kind of, again, when you're kind of new to herbalism and you're learning about how plants support the body, black walnut is one of the big ones that comes up for supporting parasite removal from the body. And so it's really good at, supporting the unwanted organisms, supporting the removal of unwanted organisms. It's highly, highly tannic. So, and it's also highly bitter. So that tannic piece can help support healthy inflammatory response. And then that bitter piece, of course, is going to help with digestion. So just helping to stimulate digestion throughout the GI tract. Okay, last but not least, psyllium. So psyllium husk. Now, if you were with us for the lymphatic webinar, you maybe recognize this leaf structure, and maybe you recognize the plant family and the genus Plantago. So what other herb did we talk about that was in this genus? Plantain. So it's a cousin of plantain. So everything we talked about with plantain can apply. The leaf can be used really well for its astringent demulcency. It's actually really good for helping to helping with the skin, helping to strengthen the skin and heal the skin. But we're actually talking about these little seeds that get produced by the flower, and specifically the husks or the hulls of these seeds. And again, so kind of in the same category as slippery elm. Psyllium is wonderful bulking agent, and it has a lot of mucilage polysaccharide. It's a dietary fiber, so it's really helping to move things in the digestive tract, which is why, and it's also, it's funny, right? It's in GI loose and it's in GI broom. So those are doing two opposite things. GI loose is for loose stool, and GI broom is for compacted stool. And psyllium is in both of these formulas. Isn't that amazing? And that's because of this cool thing that mucilage polysaccharides do. And they bulk things up. They help with healthy stool weight. They help with the tissues of the digestive tract and rebuilding those tissues, supporting the rebuilding of those tissues. And they can support increased stool moisture as well. So they can, taken with less water, GI Renew Loose can really help to firm up the stool, and then GI Broom, taken with lots of water, can help to support the moistening of stool and moving it through the digestive tract. So one herb to rule them all, right? Pretty cool. All right, that is the end of our virtual herb walk, and now we are going to talk about other digestive system therapeutics that you can use to support healthy digestion. Some of these slides might look familiar to you. We, of course, are always talking about how important it is to have a healthy diet. And that's pretty critical with digestive health, right? We want to ingest things that are going to keep the system clear, keep giving us the nutrients we need, keep our other body systems in balance. So when we're talking hydration, we're not only talking moistening the digestive tract and helping to keep the mucous membranes nice and juicy and working, we're also talking about the urinary system and how we also are bringing all those minerals through the blood into the urinary tract. So watermelon, I just love. I think it's number one for me as far as feeling hydrated by the foods that you eat. Definitely, we talk about fasting a lot here. That'll bring me to my next slide. We're about to release our detoxification kit, which is really exciting. And within that, we just kind of also have a fasting protocol that goes along with it, because with any detoxification protocol and any supplements that you might use, you're not going to see you're only going to see the best results if you really have your digestion in check. So when we're talking about these diet fasting foods, we have a guide here to all the best foods that you can eat. And here is the levels of detoxification. And we all probably start down here at the base. We're working our way up through more, this is more than just a detox protocol. This is a journey. This is a spiritual journey. It becomes part. You're unpacking both physical emotions and spiritual. Your spiritual body will get awoken, and yeah, you're also going to be dealing with your relationship with food, breaking those connections that you might have to processed foods and how they've altered your chemistry. So it's just, there's a lot happening here. We're cleansing ourselves through food in order to open everything up to, and the way that Dr. Morse talks about it, to enlightenment, to godliness. We're kind of opening our minds up, opening our hearts up, clearing out all of our channels so that we can just kind of take in that energy that is the energy of God. And we do have some great charts on our website. I'm not sure if you've perused lately, but we have all these great PDFs that are totally free to download. Jen's going to be adding the URL right here. She's going to be adding that to the chat window so that you can grab it real quick and access these pretty quickly. But these are man's foods and combining. So this is all about food combining. Basically melons can't be combined with anything. Everything ends up fermenting. And then, so they're in a league all their own, but these are the foods that can and can't be combined. And then these are the food combining no-nos. This is the back of the PDF. So I'm not going to linger on these too long, but they are there for you to read through and access on the website. Definitely check those out because digestion is so much more, again, than just taking supplements. It's all about what we're eating, who we are. We are what we eat, right? Okay, so here's some other fun therapeutics. Dr. Morse calls this super chewing. I've also heard chew your juice and drink your food. So if the mouth is truly the first place that digestion begins, you have to leave things in your mouth long enough for those enzymes in the mouth and the saliva and the salts to start really breaking down, specifically carbohydrates, before you even swallow. And so this makes sense with eating, right? Okay, I have a solid food in my mouth. I need to chew it so that I don't choke, but chew it so that it becomes juice, so that you're literally chewing your, drinking your food, right? And then what chewing your juice, if obviously with fasting, we do a ton of juicing. So back to that food pyramid, there's many levels that is just juicing, juicing, juicing your fruits and vegetables. Don't just swallow those. Make sure that you let them sit in your mouth because everything contains carbohydrates. We're not just talking bread here. You know, you still want to start breaking down that food in your mouth. So super chew. Okay, bitters. You can access our blog to get a little more information on all the different flavors. But my homework to you, and this is the associated blog that goes with this webinar, is already posted on our website. My homework to you is to try to incorporate all 5 flavors into every meal because it's just going to help give you that harmony, that balance within the body. You've got your bitter foods, you've got your lettuces and your bitter herbs. Those are all stimulating digestion. We've talked about that quite a bit today already. You've got your salty foods. And when you're eating your salty foods in the form of, all of your salty herbs, horsetail, nettle, seaweeds, and vegetables that contain healthy mineral complexes, you're stimulating your kidneys to better process and eliminate waste from the body and keep good healthy mineral complex in the blood. Then you have your licorice root, and slippery elm. These are all considered your sweet herbs. It's harder to find sweet foods out there, but obviously all of your fruits are going to be sweet. And the sweetness is a harmonizer. So it's helping to kind of bring together all the flavors of your food. Sweet is also very moistening. In excess, sweet can actually produce too much mucus in the body. So you want to reel in your sweet a little bit if you have a sweet tooth, but definitely an important flavor to have. Also, a lot of our immunomodulating herbs are sweet. And then sour. Sour is a great one. It's kind of comparable to bitter. Bitters are cooling and sour is more warming. And sour is also stimulating digestion. And it's specific to the liver. It's really good at stimulating liver to produce bile. So it's kind of, I like to think of it as wringing the liver out like a sponge and allowing excess bile from the liver to be wrung out and enter the gallbladder, which is all that waste product that the liver's been building up over time. And then your pungent herbs are wonderful. Ginger I have here, turmeric, cayenne. You'll want those warming herbs in there to help move nutrients through the body. They help support a healthy heart and the movement of blood through the body, delivering those nutrients to all the organs and tissues of your body. Rest and digest. I'm running out of time, but this is definitely important to actually sit and eat your food and take that time. Rest and digest is a state of the nervous system, that parasympathetic nervous system, the peristalsis that is, without you doing anything, somehow undulating to move food through the body, right? Just wanted to, so just kind of a reminder that it's good to sit with your food, take the time to process and eat it, and enjoy it. Not rush when you're eating, not be on the go when you're eating. And then here's some attributed emotional states, if you will, and their associated need states. So nervousness, apprehension, and anxiety can all cause rapid transit of foods, which can lead to a more diarrhea state, loose stool. Uptightness, resistance, and anger can manifest as holding on or constipation. So remember that, potentially there is more to what you're experiencing than just the food you're eating. It might also be how you feel. And so just assess that state and ask for support, because asking for support releases oxytocin. Okay, here's a fun bitters mocktail recipe that I'll leave you with. So this includes either liver, skin, or pancreas support, because those are the ones that have the most of our bitter herbs in them. You'll do 2 dropperfuls of your chosen bitter formula, and you'll add a shot of fresh pressed juice. And here's a bunch of fun fruits that I would recommend for making a yummy mocktail, and add a little splash of carbonated water. And you get bonus points if you muddle some rosemary or some fresh rosemary or spearmint into this drink. And yeah, just enjoy. This is the perfect time of year to be sipping on some digestive mocktails before you eat your meals. Okay, here's the slide everyone's been waiting for. Here, look at all these amazing formulas that are all going to be discounted. So this is for the next 48 hours that you will have access to receiving these discounts. If you are a customer on our website, you will be adding Digestion 15 to as your coupon for checkout to get 15% off. Alumni, you'll be getting $2 off per bottle of any of these, and then retailers 5% off all orders. Alumni, you'll need to actually, this will be automatically added, and for retailers, you have to call in these orders. So this sale will end at the end of the day on Friday. So definitely grab these up while you can. This is a pretty incredible opportunity. Okay, I talked really fast. I hope everybody was able to digest everything that I just said. I'm going to open up my Q&A window. Oh, I didn't get any. So, Jen, can you come off mute and if you flagged me for any questions?
I did, quite a few actually, and if we don't get to all of them, people can definitely email the info email, and we're going to be happy to answer them, and we can post them when the video is posted in 24 hours. And I will mention too that as soon as that discount code will be going out with the email shortly, as soon as the webinar is over, within a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But the first question I have here is summer for detox and is winter for rebuilding?
That's a great question. Yes, definitely summer is a time that you can detox 100%. I'd say spring and summer are both really beautiful seasons for that. It's a time where we're just kind of shedding anyway. We're wanting to promote sweat. We're wanting to kind of clear the channels. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely that spring detox. That's a big time because winter is for rebuilding. And winter is also that time where we're going into our cave and we're eating, heavier fats potentially, or just trying to keep warm. And it's just not the best time for fasting. So great question. I think you already knew the answer.
All right, and another one, and I'm going to mispronounce this herb because I do it all the time. Does apple cider vinegar act like gentian and increase hydrochloric acid,
Yeah.
I believe, or hydrochloride? There we go.
Hydrochloric acid, yep. Yes, good point. So citrus and acidic things will actually, when you ingest them, they become alkaline. I did some research on this. I know Dr. Morse has talked a little bit about apple cider vinegar not being one of his favorite things, and I just wanted to double check. It looks like once you ingest apple cider vinegar, it does become alkaline. And because you've tasted that sour flavor, you've absolutely stimulated digestion, which will increase hydrochloric acid in the stomach. And another thing about that is I don't recommend shots of vinegar. I know people out there are all about taking their shot of apple cider vinegar. That's too much heat. I've seen people who do that on an empty stomach and just end up instantly throwing up. So yeah, and it is adding heat to heat, right? So for some people that might be irritating or aggravating. So keep that in mind too.
Okay, you have time for another, how many more questions? You've got quite a few.
We've got 6 minutes,
Okay.
so we can keep going. Jen, do you have anything that came up for you that you feel like you want to share?
No, not yet. There's quite a few. These are actually just really good as far as the herb questions go this time around, and I know everyone loves these. So do you recommend bitters before fruit-only meals?
That is a really good question. I wonder if this person is talking about eating solid fruits or fruits as a juice. But I think I would answer this by saying it depends on the individual. If you find that when you're eating your fruits that you're maybe not assimilating them fast enough or well enough, that they're passing through without, your digestive system really igniting, then I would try it out. I would try adding bitters. But really, if you're already fasting and you're on a fruit diet, I don't know if the bitters are as important because your body is like waiting to receive food from you. So I think that even just the process of looking at the food is going to probably stimulate digestion for you. So it just depends on where you are with your fasting process and how your individual body is assimilating this food and digesting this food. So try it out and see if it changes the stool at all, or see if it makes you feel any more or less aggravated. Just notice the physiological responses that you have when taking bitters before fruit. It definitely can't hurt just to do a little experiment, just one time, and then after that you can kind of go from there.
Okay, and it probably doesn't hurt for us to mention, food combining and everything as well in this case when fruits are referenced, correct? Okay, yeah, to be sure. And yeah, there are a lot of questions, and a lot of them I think we're going to address in next week's webinar with the protocols, but just
Great.
sorry, focusing on the herbal ones since there are a lot this time around. Are there any negative effects possible from digesting some of the herbs that you talked about? Since we're told about their amazing and positive restorative functions, are there any negative effects possible as well?
Yes, all of these herbs pretty much have contraindications. So those are not listed on these slides, but that is an incredible question. And maybe we should just add a little blurb at the end of each one going forward, just so you know. But we have all of our cautions listed on our website. And if you are curious, if you're dealing with a specific imbalance, we always recommend that you speak to your healthcare provider, whether it's a naturopath or an herbalist or a doctor, just to see if that herb would be safe for you to take with your pre-existing condition. And I'll add to that, there's lots of really great resources online for researching these herbs. So you could, if you were really resonating with a specific herb and you're wondering if it's safe for you to take, then you can search that herb and then follow in a Google search. Just search the herb and then follow it with, monograph, MONOGRAPH. That's the word that we use as herbalists for these kind of data sheets on herbs. So if you were to search, slippery elm monograph, a lot of great resources will come up. And this actually makes me think we should do a blog that's just all about all the trusted resources that I use every day. So I'll add that to the list.
That would be awesome. I would like to see that too.
Great.
Probably final question, looking at the clock that we have time for. I'm going to combine this one a bit. Question again about bitters, and as far as when addressing gastroparesis or someone that may or may not have their appendix, do you have any advice for that, especially if the appendix has been taken out or in cases of gastroparesis?
I don't know specifically about that. I would say, again, that would be a question for your healthcare provider. I know with gallbladder support, like for someone who doesn't have gallbladder, bitters are indicated. It's a very cooling formula, a bitters formula. So if it's a hot condition you're dealing with, then it's actually a good indication that you could use bitters. But if you're dealing with something that's really cold, maybe not so much. And let's see. Yeah, we could always do some more research on that one and get back to you too. But Jen, you wanted to make one announcement before we left, right?
I did. I'll just state the reminder again that as soon as this webinar ends, check your email inboxes because you will have the discount code pertaining to this webinar for the products that are discounted for the next 48 hours. Watch your inbox for the next 24 hours. We'll have the link to this webinar posted. And also for some of you that may not know, if you're not subscribed to our newsletter, we have an affiliate program now. You are welcome to register. I'll drop that. It's open to everybody. All of our customers, I'll drop that link here in the chat, so be sure to check that before the webinar ends. And we'd love to see you participate. You get 10% commission off of sales using your affiliate link. So we're trying to grow this and see what you all think. So I'm going to post that here now. And that's my last announcement. Do you have any closing remarks, Colleen?
Well, it's just been really fun spending the afternoon with you, and it is summer solstice, so hopefully the sun is still out where you are and you can really absorb it. This is the longest day of the year and the start of summer, so enjoy it and don't forget to stay hydrated. And we'll see you next month. Thanks, everybody. Colleen. Thanks, Jen. Appreciate your support. And you too, Sarah and Devin. See y'all soon.